starting with number 10, the name Kuwait actually means fort. Kuwait is derived from an Arabic word, akwat, which means fortress built near water. Until the 18th century, Kuwait hardly had any settlements, but the area was visited by nomads who would come and go. However, when drought struck the desert area, they built fortified settlements near the coast of the Gulf in what is known today as Kuwait. Moving on to talking about the currency. The Kuwaiti dinar is the official currency of Kuwait. Interestingly, it is subdivided into 1,000 fils. So 1,000 fils would be 1 Kuwaiti dinar. To compare that with Canadian money, 100 cents would equal 1 Canadian dollar. The Kuwaiti dinar was introduced in 1961 to replace the Gulf rupee. At first, it was equivalent to the British pound sterling, but today it is currently the highest currency in the world when measured against the US dollar. So 1 Kuwaiti dinar equals $4.29 Canadian, $3.26 US, and €2.78. The high value rate of its currency is explained by significant oil exports into the global market. Due to the stable petroleum-based economy, highly developed oil production and export, Kuwait is considered to be one of the richest countries in the world. Now that brings us to talk about the oil industry, which is a huge part of Kuwait. Kuwait is actually a major oil supplier. Oil comprises nearly half of Kuwait's GDP, around 95% of exports, and approximately 90% of the government revenue. Kuwait holds approximately 7% of the global oil reserves and has a current production capacity of about 3.15 million barrels per day. The Kuwait Petroleum Corporation, or KPC, has announced its intention to increase oil production capacity to 4 million barrels per day by 2020. Moving on to talk a little bit about culture. So the Sheikh Jabr Al Ahmed Cultural Center, or the JACC, known by most, is informally known as the Kuwait Opera House, and it is a prominent cultural center in Kuwait. Interestingly, it is the largest cultural center and opera house in the Middle East. The center strives to entertain, educate, and inspire the people of Kuwait, offering a range of events in music, theater, films, workshops, and spoken word. Now, the cultural center complex is divided into many different buildings, which include theaters, concert halls, music centers, libraries, a public park, many restaurants, and a large interactive water fountain. The cultural center took 2 years to complete and a budget of $775 million. Moving on to fact number 6, the world's 4th longest sea bridge is in Kuwait. The Sheikh Jabr Al Ahmed Al Sabah Causeway is a mega bridge project with an estimated construction value of approximately $3.6 billion that spans the Bay of Kuwait in 2 directions and comprises of 2 links. The main link, which connects Kuwait City with the future Silk City, and the Doha link, which connects Kuwait City with Doha and the Kuwait Entertainment City. So this project actually forms part of the Kuwait National Development Plan for 2035. The bridges are named after the late Sheikh Jabr Al Sabah, who reigned during the Gulf War, to commemorate his contribution to the development of Kuwait. It is one of the largest and most challenging transport infrastructure projects in Kuwait, as well as the entire Middle East region. The main link is the 4th longest road bridge in the world at 36.14 kilometers. Both bridges have a combined length of 48.5 kilometers. It leads from the capital, Kuwait City's free trade zone, to an uninhabited area set to become another thriving port, Silk City. Bringing us to fact number 5, where we're actually going to talk about this Silk City. The Medina Al Harir, Arabic for Silk City, is a proposed 250 kilometers squared urban area in the Subiya region of northeastern Kuwait. So apart from a free trade zone and seaport, the Silk City will have an airport, an Olympic stadium, a tower taller than Dubai's Burj Khalifa, and housing for up to 700,000 people. Now, the cost of this long-term mega development is estimated to be more than $100 billion, hence the causeway's strategic importance to the country. Now, interestingly, much of the free trade zone development will be done in partnership with China after the 2 countries signed memorandums in the past several years. The vision is for the causeway to establish Kuwait as an international trading center connecting the Middle East with the rest of Asia. Next, we're going to talk about shopping. Now, Kuwait is home to the Avenues Mall Kuwait. The Avenues Mall is the largest shopping mall in the country country. The mall opened its doors in April 2007 under the patronage of Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Sabah. It was the winner of the ICSC Gold Award for Best Shopping Center of 2013 under the expansion and design category in the Middle East and North Africa. Since it first opened in 2007, the Avenues has continuously developed and enhanced the shopping experience in Kuwait to outstanding levels. It has set new benchmarks and standards throughout the industry. It is considered to be one of the largest malls in the world with more than 1,100 stores spread over 12 districts. The districts are inspired by classical and modern architecture. They include the First Avenue, Second Avenue, Prestige, Grand Avenue, Souk, the Mall, Soku, the Arcades, Grand Plaza, Electra, the Forum, and the Garden, and parking spaces that fit more than 10,000 cars. You guys, I've been there. It's an amazing sight to see. Any store you could think of is pretty much in this shopping center and restaurant as well. All right, moving on to fact number 3, no income tax. Yes, Kuwait is among 15 countries around the world who do not have income taxes. How is this possible? Well, Kuwait is a small, wealthy country that earned its fortune through the oil industry, so it doesn't need to levy an income tax, making it a very attractive living and working destination for expatriates. Speaking of expatriates, that's going to bring us to talking about the population of Kuwait. The current population of Kuwait is 4,288,398 as of Wednesday, October 14th, 2020, based on Worldometer elaboration of the latest United Nations data. Now, shockingly, 2/3 of the population are non-nationals. Expatriates account for about 70% of Kuwait's population, including 1.1 million Arab expatriates and 1.4 million Asian expatriates. The Kuwait government rarely grants citizenship to foreigners to maintain its status quo. Now, Kuwait actually recognizes itself as a very expat-friendly country as it is highly Americanized, especially in the hub of Kuwait City. Now, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, obtaining permanent residency in Kuwait generally requires you to have either Kuwaiti relatives or formal employment within the country. Kuwait also doesn't have much need for foreign investment, so citizenship by investment is also not a possibility. And actually, all businesses in Kuwait must be officially owned by Kuwaiti nationals. All right, moving on to our last fact of today, number 1, brings us to talk about the beautiful Kuwait Towers. So in the Sharq district of downtown Kuwait City lies one of the country's most visually arresting landmarks, the Kuwait Towers. With its panoramic views and striking modern design, this group of symbolic towers has won iconic architectural status globally. They have become a symbol of the nation's prosperity and urbanization, known to the locals as Al-Abraj, translated simply to the towers. The monument's prominent location is on the Arabian Gulf Sea front, which adds to popularity among tourists and locals alike. Now, the core inspiration for the tower's design came from a balance between the modernity and tradition, with the rocket and globe form representing the intertwined nature of two fundamental ideals, humanity and technology. The main tower rises to 185 meters and is one where you will be headed when visiting the towers. It has 2 spheres, one of which is called the viewing sphere. It has a revolving viewing platform at a height of 120 meters and offers sweeping views of the surrounding area. The tower also houses a selection of restaurants which are very popular among locals. The middle tower is true to its original function and still is used as a water tower, and the smaller tower, which is designed simply for aesthetic reasons, is used as a source of electricity and illuminates the other 2 towers.
So let's get started. All right, number 10 leads us to the Grand Mosque. The Grand Mosque is the largest mosque in the country of Kuwait. It can easily hold up to 10,000 men and 950 women in separate halls. Now, the structure of the mosque stands majestically surrounded by a large hallway space, and it has a 5-story car park that can accommodate up to 550 cars. Now, the Grand Mosque also has a library full of Islamic scriptures and material for reference. The architecture of the building is a must-see for tourists. Now, the doors of the mosque are made up of teakwood and intricate doorknobs are located on them. So there are a total of 144 windows in the structure. So yeah, it is magnificent. It is a beauty to behold. hold. Now from there at number 9, did you know that Kuwait has no natural source of water? Although Kuwait is located by the Persian Arabian Gulf and is bordered by the vast sea, it still has no natural source of water. There are no rivers and lakes in Kuwait. All the water supply is done from underground. The country is dependent on lateral overflow from Saudi Arabia, and it has very limited supplies of internally renewable groundwater. Despite the lack of water, Kuwait is known to have some of the best quality of water in the entire world. Why? Well, this is because Kuwait has a very advanced and detailed desalinization process. Number 8 leads us to the Failaka Island. Failaka is a beautiful island off the coast of the Gulf, and it is one of the prides of Kuwait. The climate of this island is different from the mainland, which is why it is flooded with tourists during the spring season. Tourists can enjoy various activities here like boating, they can do sailing, of course swimming, and many other activities to keep them entertained. The ancient civilization that remains on this island also makes it very famous. The island is not just famous for holidays, but it's also used by the Kuwaiti armed forces for military purposes. Number 7, a very interesting one, falcons. Well, the falcon is a bird resembling an eagle or a hawk, but it is smaller in size, and the sacred falcon is the national bird of Kuwait. It is found on the nation's emblem, and the region where Kuwait is located is also known for falconry, which is a traditional activity of hunting the animal's natural habitat. All right, guys, hope you don't get too hungry at this one. Number 6, matchboos. Now, Kuwait is known for its amazing cuisine, and the food of this country is world famous. Everybody says that. If you ask anyone from the country for a good dish, they will tell you matchboos. This Kuwait famous dish is also called the national dish of the country, and it is made up of 3 main ingredients: the meat, which can be lamb or chicken, the topping, which is made of beans and onions, and rice, which is cooked in meat broth. Now, this resembles Indian biryani, but varies in taste and its preparation method. For number 5, you know we had to mention this. Kuwait is a very rich country. As a matter of fact, Kuwait is one of the richest countries in the entire world. With 72,872 in gross national income per capita, Kuwait is much richer than its neighboring countries. The economy of Kuwait does not consist of various diversified sectors that contribute to its economy. More than 3/4 of its export is petroleum. So Kuwait is an oil-rich country. The Kuwaiti dinar is also the world's most valuable currency unit. Moving on to number 4, Kuwait is also famous for its oil reserves. Kuwait produces 6% of the world's total oil production, and in 2017, it provided 3 million barrels. Kuwait shares a border with Iraq and Saudi Arabia, which are also petroleum-rich countries. Now, the Saudi-Kuwaiti neutral zone shared between Saudi and Kuwait, that is where the country produces a lot of its oil. Kuwait also owns more than 50 crude oil rigs, and naturally, this country is a hot spot for career opportunities in the oil and gas sectors, of course. Now, number 3 leads us to trap shooting. Kuwait is also known for, trap shooting. There are great shooting ranges in the country. Now, this activity is famous among tourists. Kuwait is world-renowned for the sport, with world-class equipment and state-of-the-art facilities. It is the ideal location to spend an afternoon exploring trap shooting. In this region, the skills for trap shooting can be easily learnt, so I hear anyways. These skills include aiming at your target as well as accuracy. Now, these skills are taught for free by greatly skilled and experienced instructors. So I guess, if they're greatly skilled, you can really pick it up a lot easier. Now, number 2, camel racing. Kuwait is a country that has an abundance of camels because of the climate. Now, there are many camel racing clubs that are located in Kuwait where people can see camels racing against each other. Now, to attract viewers, the camels are dressed up in colorful Arabian outfits. Now, traditionally, humans were the jockeys of the camels, but now with advanced technology, robot jockeys ride the camels and can be controlled wirelessly. So whether you're watching a person riding the camel or a robot, it's still very entertaining. Now, the peak time for these races is between the months of October to April every single year. Now, for number one, the thing that Kuwait is famous for is their Liberation Tower. Now, Liberation Tower is a 372-meter high telecommunications tower in Kuwait City. Now, it's the country's second tallest structure and the world's 39th tallest building. Tourists are not permitted to enter the tower though. Now, the construction of this tower started before Iraq invaded the country in the year 1990. Now, the working of the building continued even after Iraq left the country. The building was completed in the year 1993 and the tower was named the Liberation Tower to recall and show respect for the liberation of the country from Iraq. The building is used for office purposes, and at night the building really lights up beautifully.